link with,
I'd like to call this special meeting of Munhall Council to order. It's 7:13. Mr. Foss, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anyone have any preliminary announcements? If not, we'll move right into the roll call.
Mr. Ballas?
here.
Mr. Shields excused. Mr. Bodine?
Here.
Mr. Brennan?
Here.
Mr. Foss?
Here.
Mr. Ingles?
Here.
Mr. Lloyd?
Present. Do we have any speakers? We don't have any speakers today. Do we have any comments on, we don't even have to do that. New business.
Can we have any reports from our committee? Or would that be given?
Well, if you'd like to make a report, you can, but this is a special meeting just for the new business that's on there, but we can move. Would you like to do something
I would
now?
like to make a couple of
Okay.
announcements.
Feel free.
And the first thing I'd like to say was, what a fine job Mayor Bodner did at the Memorial Day ceremony.
Thank you.
You really did a great job.
Next year, we gotta get a lot of it in now. Everybody's gonna get it.
And just to talk about that for 1 minute, the statue there at the cemetery, you know, I don't know if that thing has ever been conditioned or worked on at all. Maybe the mayor would be able to tell us about it a little bit, but the grave sites circle the statue, and it is a quite moving place. If no one's been there, I invite anyone to go up and really spend 15 minutes there. There's a lot of history right there.
Very good. I'll just tell you that the statue is in future plans, that we're gonna get a snag up there because of, well, it's a matter of finances for the Homestead Cemetery. I'll address that subject. I have a meeting next week with their board, and I want to, and I'm part of the board now since last year, but I want to address that cemetery in Munhall, and I want to see if there's some help, because let's face it, gentlemen, that's a private cemetery.
Right.
And, you know, it don't stack up for any help from anybody because they're private, but they're in grave danger. The people that are operating it right now, they really got a dump on them by the old board who have, all of them have passed on. And we're gonna have to really look into that because I'll do everything I can. That is, to me, a historical place.
Absolutely.
And as you mentioned, the statue, and that statue is the original statue.
It was made in 1886 or 1883, I believe. It's struck right on the statue.
And you know, the Smithsonian thinks they have the original down in Washington, but they have the second one. We got the first one.
I mean, we really need to research that and really talk to Harry Reedshaw about it.
Well,
I know he was very involved in Gettysburg with all those statues.
We're moving a little bit forward. After my meeting next week with the board and all that, I think we'll establish some sort of, I'll report to council.
Thank you.
No, because that cemetery, it's Homestead Cemetery.
I'd be glad to work with you on that, Ray, and get involved in that.
I appreciate that.
Pardon?
Yes,
Is
sir.
there some way that you can get that statue cleaned?
Well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about.
We're
I can hear it.
right, yeah. We're going, that's all in the future. There's all kind of things happening. I mean, up there, you know, we got cell power up there and all kind of
Has
stuff.
that statue ever been cleaned?
We don't think so.
Yeah, it has a long, long time.
Really?
Yeah.
A couple of things I wanted to tell you from the Finance Committee, anyway. I have a report from Donna, and she's collected $420,000 this month from 5/4 to 6/4, okay? And she will give us a little bit more in-depth report for the next meeting, okay? she wanted me to pass that on to everyone.
Rick, could you ask her how much more she expects to collect? I mean,
Total number, I have that right here if you want it. To date, I believe, $3,434,876.
That's been collected.
I believe.
That's more than last year already.
That sounds great.
I believe. But she specifically told me next week she'll give me a more in-depth report, so I'll have that for the next meeting.
Like I said, like, I'm sure it's probably well, like a comparison to last year, where we were at last year, this time we were at now, but I'm sure it's right.
We have to be further ahead.
I'm sure we are. I just like to see it, though, you
But
know.
last year in total was a little bit off compared to
Well,
prior.
everything came in slower last year.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good a collection as
Sometimes it's
normal.
like 3.1.
We collected about 96%, didn't we?
No.
last year?
No, it wasn't.
So it was like 3.1.
And lastly, I wanted to let the people know that our audits are completed and they're done. They were done on time. So hats off to everyone involved, Dan especially, and Bob, Harry,
they all did a good
you
job.
Good job, everyone.
That's such a big thing. I have a meeting tomorrow with Representative Gergley, which in January, I called him immediately upon being sworn in, and we're going to work to get this RAD money back. I'm hoping half.
Give you credit for getting that meeting, Rick. That's not an easy meeting to get with.
No, and I'm meeting with him tomorrow.
I give you credit, because I'm just saying, that's not an easy meeting to
I've
get.
also met with State Senator Costa as well,
Right.
both of them. I've gotten both of them involved in January. So now that the audits are done, we're going to move forward. I'm hoping Dan can meet with me tomorrow if he can, and we can move forward to get some of this money back, because it's not fair to our townspeople to undergo such hardship, especially with all the, I don't know what word to put it, but, well, thank you, that's transpired. So I think that may work in our favor, okay? I really think, it's not the people's negligence. So that's all I have to report about.
Yeah, I mean, Rick, you mentioned 2013, now what would be the status of?
2013 is not due for another year and a half.
Yeah,
2011.
We have 2011 and 2012 are complete.
2013 will probably start within the next several weeks. Technically, it should have been in already, but you have a number of months and we'll get that. We're in contract with Germany to have that done.
Great.
With the same-
I think we can
same
use
guy?
that as a-
Yes.
Same guy, same price.
Great price.
Already on 13 is,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for the report, Rick. New business. Progress report on the Allegheny County 911 transition. We had a safety meeting last Friday.
Educational.
Yeah, educational safety meeting. This issue came up. Pat, you want to give the update on the date?
Yeah, we met and we pushed the date back to what we believe right now is the 17th. Reason being, the fire department's pagers are not going to be until
11th,
11th.
we won't be here till the 13th.
And they won't, 911 will not make the switch over going to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday. So it has to be done Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday would be the 17th, that would be the earliest possible date that should go to make the move.
Did I hear a 19th mentioned somewhere?
17th is the day we work, that's the earliest day we can do it. Aside from that, I don't know if there's anything else to really report. We're still waiting on a couple portables. They should come in the same time as the pagers. Like I said, on the police side, we're kind of done. We can make the move tonight if we had to. Fire department cannot function without those pagers. That's what's going on.
Mayor?
Naturally.
Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Naturally, I, discuss things with Pat and all that, but I do have some questions that, that's why I was asking about planning. things for building security, and Pat mentioned scheduling, what do you call them,
Jailers, wardens, whatever.
no, yeah, well, not only that, but I'm talking.
Key fobs?
The key fobs with different people. I'm curious to know how that's gonna work. Are they going to make an application, or are they, naturally, you got these groups that will wanna be here. They gonna apply, who are they gonna apply to? Who is going to have the schedule? If you're going to have a gentleman working 3 to 11 especially, he should have a schedule over there. And to me, I'll just tell you my point of view, Pat, you can disagree or what, but I feel that the office should be in charge of the fobs and the scheduling, and pass it over to the, whoever's on the desk over there in 3 to 11. They should have a complete schedule, whenever these things are arranged, so that they know who's in the building at all times.
Well, first there should be a form. We should have a form in the office
That's
for
what I mean.
anybody that's
I don't wanna
scheduling the
see
meeting.
us over there with forms
And we could go and, for free, use Google Calendar, which gives anybody in the building, whether it's Harry or whether it's Bob, or whether it's somebody sitting over in the police side, they can look at this Google Calendar, have access to it, know who's supposed to be in the room when. And that way, if you're gonna schedule something and there's already something scheduled, you already know that.
Right.
Everyone will have access to that.
The way I understand it to work, I guess we talked about last meeting about having all the council get a key fob. We can make up 2 or 3 extra key fobs that can be left in the office. And, if it's a group that meets here regularly, you can give them a key fob. It'll work for, we can make it a 15-minute window, we can make it a 15-hour window. Doesn't really matter. Once they're in, they're in. They don't need it to get out. If I program like 3 or 4 extra ones of those, we give them the office staff, and say it's the fly fishing people, whoever the contact person is for them.
That's my point.
It would only work the day that, we can schedule it for a certain day, a certain time. You can block out holidays, you can do anything with that calendar on that program. We know they meet, say, the 3rd Thursday of every month. So we can click on that and make sure they can only get in the 3rd Thursday of every month from this time to this time. It's pretty simple.
But, for the long range, for the people that have a steady schedule on it, that's one thing. For the people that call in and want to have this or that, or reception or anything, they can call, and on weekends especially. This is why I think the office should have an application, and they should issue the key fob rather than us, because our guys will be over here.
Right. Well,
The shade will be drawn.
like you said, there's a form they have to fill out to get handed the key fob from the office personnel. Here's the form, there's a liability, this is the condition the room is in now. If it's not returned to us in the same manner, you will be held liable, plain and simple.
Right.
They can come the day before, pick up their key fob, put it in the drop box afterwards, no big deal.
And the schedule will be over there with the person that's on the desk.
Harry, how do we have the schedule now?
We keep it on our desk calendar, but
And we don't
there's
see
3
it.
administrators in the office to each see the schedule.
Do you think we could switch over to put it on a Google Calendar and give everyone an access to it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Easy enough.
That's.
Are you okay with doing the key fobs, Pat?
Yeah, I have the extra one sitting there, it's no big deal, just taking them 15 to 20 minutes to program.
Now, what about the applications?
Well, shouldn't we have a written procedure with the application and
That's
expectation?
gonna be up to the office staff.
Yeah, we could develop that and have that posed.
I'm sure you can talk to Greg in a 5-minute conversation, and get that kind of cleaned up pretty quickly.
That's,
And then we could publicize if anybody is interested, this is the procedure.
But we're also going to have to go to those groups that are already using the room and have them sign. They've probably never signed one or haven't signed anything in years.
The ones that have been using it for years, I'm sure they don't have an issue with doing that.
but you got a
If they
lot
do,
of,
they can find somewhere else if that doesn't make it comfortable.
you got a lot of groups like baseball.
Do we have any limitations on who uses the room as far as residency? Does it have to be a resident that's responsible?
It's usually been like a group. whether it be Munhall baseball, girls softball, Steel Valley midget football.
But like the Rock Hounds,
The Rock Hounds, which
they have members that are from Munhall, the same way with the
Fly
Valley
Fishing
Club.
Group, the Garden Club of Munhall. That's kind of what we're talking about. It's not like a big laundry list of, dozens and dozens of groups. Maybe a dozen. Not that hard.
Okay, so you guys will develop the list and, or the form, so that we're ready to go. We have a couple more weeks.
Procedure.
Okay.
I'm going to reserve judgment when I see it right. I'll be back.
We'll do our best, Mayor.
I'm concerned about the security. Safety.
Second item, Bob, you want to talk about the interview process on the hires?
You have on your agenda the interviewing process for both full-time and summer workers for the Public Works Department. You do have a list on page 1, I believe, of the people that were interviewed by myself as well as Bob Vicey over the past 3 weeks. Based on those interviews and Bob and I putting our heads together, we recommend that the following people be hired full-time for Public Works: Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, and Norman Miller, for those 3. And you have that listed there in their addresses. They are Munhall residents, and that would be subject to background investigation. They would be, whoever we hire will be coming in at the introductory hourly rate, $14.53, no benefits. According to the contract, there is a 5-month probationary period. If they successfully work through that probationary period, then immediately the benefits would kick in. So they would be at 80% of the labor wage for at least the first year, according to the contract. For the youth, you have listed there those that we have interviewed, as well as the 5 that we recommended to be hired. Those 5 are Cody Kalaki, Brendan Gilsner, Dustin Pasorik, Dylan Pasorik, and Anthony Wright. Recommended at the hourly wage of $8 an hour, no benefits, to work as soon as availability, up to around Labor Day or when school starts. I believe 4 of the 5 are high school, 1 is in college, 1 would need a work permit that already has that work permit from school.
Does that mean they're under 16 if they need a work permit, or what age is work permit required?
I think it's 16.
16
I think it's
or less?
Dylan or Dustin, one of the 2.
I think Dylan's the older one.
The older one.
The younger one, he does have his work permit. So those are what we recommend to hire. School's out on the 6th, so we will be starting them next week. They do know that the summer youth workers do know that they need to provide their own steel-tip shoes. We will provide the gloves and the glasses and the green shirts.
Okay, we'll be taking that under item consideration.
Should we have some kind of safety introduction?
Bob does that.
We'll be doing it.
Yeah, because I know, because I was doing the safety meetings, before with them, and it seemed to work for a year. But then the second year, we went right downhill. And I mean, some kind of safety. Just to tell them, about gloves, glasses, and.
Bob, can you do that like the first day? Is go through a 15-minute of, it's serious about safety?
If you want me to be there too, I could, and I
Joe
can be a
knows
little
about
hand.
that.
I had 10 years experience with US Steel. I was the union safety man for 10 years. So, I have a little experience.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, I can do that, no problem. Just so, real basic, just let me know. We'll do
Good point,
it.
Joe.
Yeah, I think we ought to do it.
Someone coming out and getting hurt.
Yeah, because our workers' comps, and where that's at.
Yeah. Another item we're going to vote on tonight is something that's state mandated, not federal mandated on signage. Bob put a
You have-
sample ordinance in here.
Point number 3, the manual uniform traffic control devices. The Federal Highway Administration several years ago came out with an edict that every political subdivision in the United States must comply with a certain type of sign reflectivity. as well as the size of the letter blanks. It was supposed to be implemented 2 years ago. Nobody was ready. According to their regulations, the first step is that every political subdivision by June 12th of this year must adopt what is called a sign management plan. You have in your packets about 5 or 6 pages of a sign management plan. There is a resolution there to adopt that. That plan has gone through several reviews of a number of different agencies. It was recommended to us by the Steel Valley COG. A number of the COGs are using this for their municipalities. What happens with the plan? It stays in our file. Not much happens to it, but if we're ever audited by the Federal Highway Administration, we have it on file. The next thing is, by 2017, we will have to change out our signs to comply with the new federal standards on reflectivity and blank size. So we're going to have to financially plan for that capital investment around that time, unless they extend that 2017, 18, or 19. So what you have is the resolution 2014-1, which is adopting our sign management plan.
Well, does this mean we're gonna have to change all our signs over? I mean, don't some of them meet? Some of them have to meet it. I mean,
By 2017, stop signs, one-way signs, miles per hour signs.
all of them.
God only knows I need it.
Reading.
Speaking of signs, can I make a comment?
Sure.
I think we need bigger signs on that flyover where the trucks are limited to one.
They're still coming, I know.
They're still coming.
Yeah, they sure are.
Or maybe they need to be like fluorescent orange or something.
Put flashing lights on them.
That's PennDOT sign, that's specification for PennDOT.
See, we're already complying with the ordinance.
PennDOT was there before we started to put the signs.
The truck drivers
We
can't
can't
read
put
them.
bigger ones, or we can't
I don't
put
think they
flashing
do either. I
lights,
don't
or
think
I
they
mean,
care.
something that really draws their attention. Yeah.
I'd like to make a comment about a sign too.
Yes, Mr. Brennan.
The sign that's at the fire hall, the bulletin sign.
Yes.
I think we should advertise when we have a council meeting. Is that our sign to do that with?
No.
That's the firehouse.
Can we
pay them $5?
Can we do that?
I think we'd be willing to donate to you as long as it's not rented for that particular segment.
I think we need to advertise it and invite more people to come to the meetings.
We'll work on that.
Good.
Harry?
I've noticed a lot of municipalities are putting LED signs in front of their buildings and doing it that way. Maybe next year we can put the budget.
Some of that goes to the budget, yeah.
Over at Swissvale, right by their borough building, they have a sign like we have down there, and they advertise all their meetings.
That sign up there stood the test of time. It's soon to be updated. We would hope to something like that.
That sign there?
Yeah, it's been around for
But it's done its job. It's done its
20
job.
years at least.
At least.
That's a good idea, though, unless somebody has it rented out and you're making money on it.
Something we already discussed over at the station about,
That'd be a great idea.
about updating that eventually.
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
Just punch in, change it on.
According to this plan that we're going to vote on, it says that under this method, sign retroreflectivity be measured using a reflectometer.
I have one.
Well, we're going to be getting a retroreflectometer.
And you want them in the back pocket.
And we're also going to be purchasing a number of signs that we're going to plant out back in the public works area. And we're going to use the reflectometer to see if they actually hold up as well as the ones in the field, according to the plan. And it's interesting. Because if the ones in the back start to show levels of deterioration and less reflective levels than expected, then they want us to replace all the signs of a certain sheeting type and color. So it's an interesting ordinance that the state will have us pass. Federal, my mistake. Unfunded mandate.
No public works should be without a reflector.
Yeah, you gotta have a roof.
The next issue Bob followed up with Bob from Public Works on the LED street light program with Duquesne Light. You want to?
As we mentioned at the last meeting, Duquesne Light has this pilot program that municipalities that are interested can take advantage of having up to 10 contiguous LED lights to replace existing Cobra lights. Public Works did do an inventory among several roads where there were at least 10 or more contiguous streetlights. You have that listed there on page 12. And based on that, it's recommended that we would go ahead and take advantage of this pilot program with Duquesne Light on 10th Avenue from McClure to Martha. Replacement is $109 per light, so it's $1,009 that we would have to pay Duquesne Light to come out and change those lights. This has to, our application needs to be in by the middle of July. A number of municipalities are taking advantage of this, so our recommendation is to place those on 10th Avenue from McClure to Martha.
I think that's great, Stu, to do it at the library. I think that'll really, it'll bring it up, plus it'll modernize it a little bit too. I think it'll bring
And it'll be
it
a good test. It'll be a good test to see what the return on investment's going to be.
And we'll have a lot of people down
Speaking
there.
about lights, there's a lot out on Main Street. A lot.
You're talking the decorative ones?
Yeah, the one.
We have, I think we have a,
Just talking electrics, looking into
but we just signed a work order for them to replace some of them, or is this more on top of that?
There's some on Main Street and some up at Woodhill Park. That's just one like that.
You know, I'd like to get a proposal from GE on changing out all those to LEDs on Main Street, because we don't have to have Duquesne Light's permission for that.
No, you don't.
And the payback, according to GE, when we spoke to them, could be first year. I mean, between the retrofit and the capital outlay, you'd actually be ahead because your bill gets reduced by that much money. So it's more than the capital cost, so, you know, they were out hucking that. I think we ought to look into it.
Dan, one of these LED lights, they say if you look in a LED light, it ruins your eyes. Now, will that affect people from driving and looking at the LED light?
I don't know unless we get one of those reflectometers. Oh, no.
No, but I mean, they always say, don't look at the LED light. I've been known since they come out.
I don't know, they're pretty bright if you look right at them.
And it affects your eyes, they say.
Like
Yeah, but
looking
then-
at the sun, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I check into that, I don't know.
We might have to have a special sign for that that says don't look directly into the light.
With
And then
pictures,
if one-
reflectometer.
Yeah, but
If the police department pulls you over, say I couldn't see the light, then that's not a valid excuse because.
No, I'm only saying, I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read.
No, I think you're right. I think I've heard that as well. But they're not gonna be white light, they'll be, I mean, if you get, you're talking about red lights?
No, I'm talking about, like,
Just
you're
the
talking
street lights.
streetlights.
Yeah.
I think they have a little more of like yellow glow from what I'm thinking than the white.
I've never
Well,
seen
they
it.
cut down a little bit on that, I think.
It's definitely a different
I
light.
mean, they're definitely, you can tell the difference if you see the two side by side. I've seen it. I think there's like a little more of a yellow than a bright
blue.
than white, you know? There's,
I
the
don't
color is
know.
definitely gonna be different.
That's basically the way some of them cars are, they have them lights in, headlights.
They're terrible.
I hate them. I hate them when they come look, those lights. They're bad.
Especially if you're in,
We're gonna move ahead with the 10th Avenue as the
I think
test.
that's a perfect place.
The next item is, as we all know, that we have a grievance filed by the Munhall Police Department Collective Bargaining Unit, because it's the borough's position that we want to collect some $234,000 in undeducted payroll contributions to the police pension fund. The FOP has drawn a line in the sand, and they've said that they're not going to pay that money back. And so we're going to not go through the formalities, and apparently because our solicitors recommended that we go directly to the Civil Service Commission and hear the grievance there, and we'll see how that goes. It's a lot of money on the line for the taxpayers there. Any comments?
We discussed this.
Okay. Other items, I had one other item, and that was that we were advised that we do need to have alternates for the Civil Service Commission.
Up to 3.
Because in the event that someone isn't there, they changed the civil service rules. You have to have 3 people vote. So if someone's not there, and we don't have an alternate, which we should have up to 3, then there won't be a vote. So we should have at least probably 2 at a minimum. So I would think we need to put a motion on to advertise to appoint a couple more people to the Civil Service Commission.
Perfect.
So do we need to make a motion for that?
We'll make a motion.
It's on there.
Okay?
After that, whether we have any.
So, there it is. Okay, items for consideration.
Okay, number 1, move to approve the hiring of the following Munhall residents for the Public Works Department on a full-time basis, subject to background investigation, at an entry hourly rate of $14.53 without benefits until the completion of a 180-day probationary period. Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, and Norman Miller.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Brennan. Do we have a second on the motion?
Second, but can we have a roll call vote?
Yeah.
We may. Questions on the motion?
Yeah, question, just so everyone knows, we do have a list of all the people who applied for it. I don't know if you have a copy of it. We all have copies of it.
Joe Ballas?
Mr.
I have a
Fenner?
question on the motion.
Yeah, that was my question. I mean, we can vote for who we want. I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can. There was a question on the motion that I had, and that was just regarding the number. And I think we maybe should have discussed that, and I forgot to bring it up. But there was a question as to whether or not one of the dispatchers was going to be going back to Public Works or not. So if somebody chooses not to go back from Public Works, we'll probably end up hiring another guy. That's why there's 3 on here instead of 4.
I thought we were hiring 3.
A total of 6.
We were 3 was going to be 3 and 3.
3 and 3, if the 3 dispatchers, so if one of the dispatchers does not go back, we'll hire 4.
Right, from the list of people we've
Bring it up
already
at the
in.
next meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's good.
So you want to vote on each person individually?
Yeah, roll call
Roll
vote.
call.
You can either vote for the 3 recommended by management, or you can vote for somebody from the list. The roll call.
So are we voting for the whole slate?
No,
No,
No, they're gonna vote.
individual. Because the way the union does it, if I'm not mistaken, the person with the highest votes has the most seniority. Right. That's how they figure their seniority out. I mean, it's different.
There'll be
but that's the way-
seniority on this?
Right. Yeah, there's seniority, yeah, they're all the same.
And I think
Their
if
seniority.
it's they are the same votes, it's the name that you read first that has the most seniority.
That's right.
I think that's what you have,
Your
right?
name you read first. We
So it's
had
confusing.
It's
we
confusing.
had a
I
situation
got mine
in the
already.
police years ago where it was voted one way and somebody accidentally read the second,
remember that.
third guy second, vice versa, and they voted instantly.
Yeah, there was
So,
some questions on
It
the
is how seniority.
Well, that's a good point. That's how we'll do it.
Okay.
So right now, we're voting on Stephen Fenner.
No, just
No,
ask
it's a roll call.
who he wants to vote for.
Oh, I got you, okay.
There he's doing a roll call.
Who's doing the roll call?
I'm ready.
Okay, Harry.
Go ahead.
Joe Ballas,
Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, and Joe Terrick.
oh, I need to get back. This-
The list is on the second page,
I'm sorry.
page 1 actually.
I wasn't ready. Everything's changed. There's Steve Fenner, Dean Cheslock,
And Joe Terrick.
Joe Terry. All right, Rob Falls,
Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, and Joe Terrick.
Rich Bonadian,
Norman Miller, Stephen Fenner, and Joseph Terry.
Rick Brennan,
I'm going to vote for Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, and Norman Miller.
First three.
Yep.
Okay.
Harvey Eagles,
Steve Fenner, Dean Cheslock, Bob Cosmo.
Cosgrove. Dan Lloyd,
Stephen Fenner, Dean Cheslock, Norman Miller.
all right, Stephen Fenner is first. Dean Cheslock is second. And we have Joe Terry for third.
Who? Oh, wait a
It
minute.
should be a tie.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see. There's a tie between Norman Miller and Joseph Terry.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich voted for Norm.
3-3.
Norm, I got voted T, and Brendan.
Why would you vote for Joe Terrick?
Okay,
Yeah, 3 for Norman Miller and 3 for Terry.
that's right.
We have to vote on those two.
That can't be right.
That's correct.
That's right.
He didn't vote for,
I have Norman
He
Miller.
voted for Norman.
Norm, you vote for it.
I would vote.
It's Fenner, Cheslock, and
Costco.
Costco. Miller didn't get a vote there.
Right.
but
Miller.
it ended up 3-3.
Oh, but okay,
He
that's
voted
right,
for
Rich
it.
voted for it, that's
Rich
right.
voted, Dean voted, Rob, Rick Brennan, and Dan Lloyd voted for Norman Miller. Joe Ballas, Ricky voted again, and Rob Falls voted for Joe Terry.
It's 3-3.
Right.
Top two are in then.
That would flip it over to you, Mayor.
Well, the mayor's gonna abstain and say, "Hey, council, you got another week to decide yet. We have a meeting, and that's my decision."
Okay.
Yeah, we can do that one, yeah.
Well, can't you take a
I don't think-
vote? Maybe somebody will change their mind.
No, we took the vote.
I mean, between the two people, the top people.
We took the vote.
Okay.
Take another vote next week, or 2 weeks from now.
For the first two hired.
First two were hired.
First two are definitely hired, yeah.
Subject to background.
Background checks. Okay. Next item.
Summer,
Yes, I will.
we get to go through that, same thing for summer youth.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For Public Works Summer Youth, you have on page 1 the people that we interviewed, and it is recommended that we would hire Cody Balaki, Brendan Gilsner, Dustin Pasaric, Dylan Pasaric, and Anthony Wright. You see though, of those 5, 2 are returned from previous years, and that would be at $8 an hour, no benefits. So I guess we'll take a roll call vote on each one.
Harry?
All right, Joe Ballas,
Mr. Perlecki, Dustin Pisarcek, Dylan Pisarcek, Austin DeTillo, and Nick Leskovic.
Rob Falls,
Perlecki, Gissner, Dustin Basarchek, Dylan Basarchek, and Austin DeTillo.
Rich Bonadian,
Gawarkey, Rubner, Dustin Pisarcik, Dylan Pisarcik, Austin Dattilo.
Rick Brennan.
Cody Perlacki, Brandon Vesser,
I think that's guys.
Jefferson, I think.
We got it down.
Givisser, Dustin Pisarcik, Dylan Pisarcik, and Anthony Wright.
Harvey Eagles.
Cody Perlacki, Brendan Gibbons,
I think it's guys. Yes.
Dustin Perlacki, Dylan Perlacki, Austin Dattilo.
Dan Lloyd.
Cody Perlacki, Brendan Gibsner, Dustin Pisarcik, Dylan Pisarcik, and Anthony Wright.
All right. Cody Perlacki, Brandon Geisler, Dustin and Dylan Pisarcik, and Austin Dattilo. For the top 5.
And is he a resident? Did I hear some,
He's gonna be.
he's gonna be a resident?
His application stated he is.
There was joint custody
Okay.
between the mother and father.
Okay.
And he lived with her on the weekend. Her on the weekend.
They hired him last year.
Yeah, we hired him last year.
Same thing.
Yeah, same.
When you hired him last year, it was brought on the floor, when Bernie Cook says, he's just a kid, you know, where's the care? Let him have to be hired. He was going around and around, he's with his dad.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, moving on to number 3. Move to transfer the code enforcement officer position in the service from the police department to the administration office under the direction of the borough manager, effective immediately.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Comments on the motion, questions on the motion?
Comments, Mr. Chairman, just make sure that that money is removed from the police budget, from the code enforcement officer. That goes out of the police department into miscellaneous or whatever,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, should be on.
Was it in the police budget before? Or was
Yeah,
it
it's in the police budget.
It's a matter of switching it over. We'll take a few extra bucks out of the police.
Police are still code enforcers too.
That's right, but they're not the.
His position's taken out of there, so.
And just to say, Mr. Callen has a good background in code enforcement. He's been, involved with boroughs in the past, so I think it'll be a good fit.
Working together.
Thank you.
Good.
Harry, you gonna take the roll or should I take the roll? Do we need a roll
I
call?
can take a roll. I'm all ready to go.
No.
No?
No, we don't.
No, all those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Oh, one no vote, Mr. Brown?
No, I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It was a slip of the tongue.
slip of the tongue. It's a unanimous vote.
Number 4, move to adopt resolution 2014-01, setting forth a sign management plan as required by the Federal Highway Administration and to be adopted no later than June 12, 2014.
Motion.
Second.
Comments or questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously.
Number 5, move to appoint the president of council to represent Munhall Borough on the tax increment financing waterfront maintenance committee.
Motion.
Second.
Comments or questions?
Question, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman. Dan, would you expand on that a little bit? It's the 3 presidents?
Yes,
Please
absolutely.
let us know what's going on.
Yeah, here's what,
On page 19 of your handout is the
Page 19?
19.
it's a letter that I wrote as requested by Stan Lederman, who, as you know, is the solicitor for the COG. A proposed solution to the TIF waterfront maintenance agreement was proposed by Lloyd Cunningham and myself, which was to use the enterprise zone because we already had a TIF committee in place that was already handling this money from the waterfront TIF district, and we were administering the Main Street TIF program. So rather than have to take 2, 3, 4 months to write new agreements so that we could handle this money and spend it to get the maintenance done, by developing inter-community cooperation agreements and then naming someone, it was going to mean writing a contract, advertising it, approving it, and getting back. It was going to take months, and they're going to miss the paving season. So we threw out the enterprise zone idea. It wasn't all that well received, but we only wanted that so that we could use them as a pass-through. And the enterprise zone didn't want to be involved in doing all the contract negotiations, and they didn't want to really be involved in municipal maintenance project of that scope. So the COG was always willing to do it. Ann Lewis said that they were willing to do it. It'll be a fee basis item. So we decided that we would go that route. But the reservation was, at the meeting, they kept saying, well, you know, the boroughs will tell us, they'll tell us, you know, what projects we're going to do and what priority. And I said, well, who from the boroughs is going to tell you this? So the structure that we came up and immediately agreed upon is the 3 council presidents, who happen to be the 3 same people that make up that TIF committee, will, by unanimous decision only, approve these expenditures, which all this money is earmarked already and already in a fund. It's going to be almost $1 million.
Did they figure out a way of getting the money that was already in the fund out of the fund so they can use it?
Yes, they did it by this unanimous consent. And if you look at that letter that I wrote, that was the authorization. Once they got that from the 3 boroughs, council presidents, they would move the money. So this is a ratification vote of the council president, whoever it is, to be on this committee and vote for these expenditures.
Yeah.
There.
Who is the engineer on this, Snyder?
Glen Engineering is going to be doing the engineering.
Now, you said something about the COG. You said a fee basis?
Oh yeah, the COG's going to charge a fee for contract
They are?
administration.
I understood it was going to be free.
Well, they may decide to waive it. That was Stan's idea, but I mean, I
Well, to me, I told them to waive it.
I have no problem with that, but you know, the other communities that are involved in the COG that aren't part of the Steel Valley may have objection to that.
Okay, Bob, is that your understanding on that, as far as having spoken to Ann Lewis or anything about the thing?
I didn't speak to her, but it makes sense. You have the structure, get it done.
Yeah, right.
They're supposed to send us a contract template. She hasn't sent it over yet for our approval.
Well, your meeting was night before last, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right, so it's going to be just a template, it's going to have to be tweaked, but the engineering work is starting. So we're hoping not to miss paving season
All
now.
right, but I understood it's free.
Well, I hope it is,
No. Okay.
but it's not going to be any cost to Munhall Borough.
Well,
Any
that's-
fee that there is charged is coming out of the waterfront maintenance fund.
Okay, that's.
Now, that's just in the TIF zone.
Yes.
Just in the code, because we have that road from the cross, you know, from the bridge to the crossover that's gonna need some type of maintenance soon.
Well, we're also going to be maintaining, they're supposed to send me the map, because I also want to make sure that that money's not being, well, just like it's not going to be used to pave the road portion that's in Munhall and accepted by
I know.
Munhall, it shouldn't be used in Homestead on, let's say, Amity Street, if
all in
that's
TIF.
in, you know, the TIF.
It's all in the TIF zone. A majority of these roads are in the TIF, I mean, in Homestead in the TIF, and that's where they need most of the work.
Okay, so any more questions on
No, I
the
think it's
motion?
a great idea.
No, I just
Okay,
wanted to make that point, that's all.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Passes unanimously.
Number 6, move to advertise for interested Munhall residents to apply for up to 3 alternate member seats on the Munhall Borough Civil Service Commission, and for such applications to be submitted to the borough manager no later than June 17, 2014.
Second by Mr. Rodadian. Any discussion? I think we've talked about this. We should have someone there just in case. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Motion's unanimous. Any other items?
Yeah, I got one.
Rich?
I just want to bring to everybody's attention, as of today, number 2 and number 3 fire hall are officially merged.
Officially.
Finally got the call to go downtown and we signed the papers.
Great.
The judge signed the papers today. If anybody has any questions, ask them.
That's been a long, winding road to get all
How
this
soon
together.
can we sell number 3?
Well, as soon as we get the final confirmation paperwork, it's gonna take 60 to 90 days for the actual name change, but actually, as of right now, the new station is technically in effect. Then from the time you sign the ink on the paper, sure they're gonna be working on getting the last remaining bits out of that building, so I would say hopefully within the next month, you can do what you
We
have
can
to
put it
do.
up for,
Yeah, now that it's all squared away and done, we went through with flying colors, no issues.
Glenn, how many firemen do you have now? No, after the merger, how many did this give that are new
We have,
department?
rough figures off the top of my head, about 32 active